Does your posture currently look a bit like this young man right here? Well, stay tuned my friend, because in today's video I'm going to show you and guide you on how you can fix your posture at home in just 4 moves. Crew members, welcome back to the channel, friends. How you doing today? If this is your first time here on this channel though, you need to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications, because if you're new to body training calisthenics, this is your home of bodyweight strength training. So make sure to hit that button and turn on that bell. And lastly, one more thing. You gotta understand that the advice I'm giving in this video is very general, meaning like with any other YouTube video on the internet, it is no substitute or cannot replace the advice given by a professional. So if you have chronic aches or pains that actually need specific guidance, then you need to actually seek a professional or a physiotherapist, as I did myself when I had a lot of postural imbalances and issues. Right, so the first step, which is actually one of the key ones, is to actually pay attention to your posture. So right now, I want you to give yourself a little test. How are you sitting or standing as you're watching this YouTube video right now? Chances are you're probably, your shoulders are rounded forward, your spine is flexed, rounded forward as well, hunched forward, and you're probably, favoring one side of your body over the other, so your hips are sitting or standing unevenly as well. Was I right? Now, as I've said, this is important because our bodies are masters of adaptation. So the more that we position ourselves in poor posture, the more our body is going to adapt and get better at maintaining a poor posture, and then vice versa. But the problem with the former is that the more you actually, let your body adapt to maintaining a poor posture, the harder it will then become to actually maintain and sustain a correct posture, which we don't really want to be having, do we? To maintain an upright posture, the usual key cues here is to keep light tension in your abdomen as well as your glutes. Raise your sternum up and slightly retract the shoulder blades to a small extent. Again, you don't want to do any of this excessively, because then you're going to actually fatigue and maybe even make this a workout in itself, because you'll certainly feel a difference when you first actually try this. To make this a good habit, I actually urge you or encourage you to set reminders throughout the day to actually remind yourself how your posture is currently looking like throughout the day, because chances are that if you don't remind yourself to, your body will inevitably slump into poor positions when sitting down or standing up for a long period of time. But if you have an alarm that keeps you accountable throughout the day, this will occur far less frequently. Another thing you can try is playing around with your posture. So if you've been sitting down for a bit, you can try standing for a bit or kneeling down. Anything that allows you to maintain a neutral spine without compromising, flexing or arching it excessively. Another one that seriously helped me, that is, when sleeping, get used to sleeping flat on your back, completely straight, and maintain a neutral spine. This one, seriously, although it took a while to adapt because I was so used to sleeping on my sides, usually a lot of the postural imbalances that we develop tends to actually come from the hours we spend sleeping with a poor posture. So, if you can just maintain a good posture whilst you're sleeping, that alone is going to help fix and eradicate any weaknesses or imbalances that you may be experiencing in your posture, as I had myself, and this one trick seriously helped along the road. But again, although step 1 may be good, it will be pretty much worthless unless we do step number 2, which is to address and strengthen the weak links. Now, if you're currently unhappy with your posture, you gotta understand it's not your fault, because with today's society, how we sit or stand for prolonged periods of time, it's inevitable that without actually acknowledging it or being told about it, we're naturally going to slump into poor posture positions, which will impact our posture overall without even knowing it in the first place. But the most important thing from here is that you've acknowledged that and you're actually willing and dedicated to fix that. Usually what happens is that the muscles in the front of our body, i.e. our anterior chain, gets tight and weak, whereas the muscles in the back of our body, i.e. the posterior chain, become weak and inactive. So the main fix from here is that we want to focus on stretching out the muscles in the front of the body actively, whilst actively strengthening the muscles in the posterior chain, that being the muscles in the back of the body. So for the upper body, your bread and butter is going to be horizontal pulling, because actively you're going to be stretching out the tight front delt and the pecs, whilst actively contracting and strengthening the muscles in the upper back, the spinal erectors, which is going to be the key to developing and sustaining a good posture. So as this is a bodyweight training calisthenics channel, of course, I'm a huge advocate of the bodyweight row for one of those reasons, because the bodyweight row will help you address exactly that. But of course, there's more than one way to skin a cat in the fitness industry. You can also do dumbbell rows, band rows, or to focus more on the rotator cuff and the posterior deltoid, you can do more or face pulls or T-raises, basically exercises that force your scapular retractors to contract in a horizontal plane. And speaking of the upper body, one thing that helped me when I was experiencing bad posture last year was for my upper body workouts, I dropped a lot of my pushing exercises and did a lot more pulling exercises that focus predominantly on horizontal pulling and scapular retraction. So I would do maybe, I think, 7 exercises in a workout. 2 of them would only be pushing exercises and 5 of them would be pulling exercises, which would predominantly be horizontally. And not only did this help fix my posture, but my pushing strength, ironically, despite having to drop so many push-ups, actually improved because my biomechanics had improved as well. For the lower body, you want to focus again on activating the muscles in the posterior chain and exercises that emphasize on maintaining a neutral spine and keeping the core and the anterior core active. So for bodyweight training again, a good example, prime example of this would be the glute bridge or even single leg glute bridges, as well as another great exercise to actively stretch the hip flexors would be a Bulgarian split squat. For the abs, you want to focus on exercises where the abs actually have to stabilize the spine, because you know that's what the abs actually have to do. Exercises such as the hollow body, the front plank, the side plank, are all great exercises because again, the abs and the core is going to have to stabilize the entire body, the entire trunk, which will inevitably improve your posture at the same time. And of course, all the exercises I've just highlighted can be found and seen on this YouTube channel. Give yourself an extra bit of homework if you fancy it. Moving on to step and move number 3, which is to learn how to stabilize your body, because all the advice, all the practical exercises can be great, but you know, it's absolutely useless again if you don't actually learn how to stabilize your body through these exercises in order to maintain proper form. Because if you actually apply all these tips and then do your strength exercises with improper form, it can actually increase the risk of injury as well as making any postural imbalances even worse, which we don't want to be happening, do we? So let's take the example of horizontal pulling. If your posture is internally rotated, what most people will do is that when they start with a horizontal pull, is that, you know, they'll pull with the arms and they'll pull with an internally rotated posture, which again will not only increase the risk of injury, but also compromise the amount of strength you can gain in the upper back muscles and the posterior chain, which is the intent of the exercise. So for this example, as we're going to take horizontal pulling again, because this is going to be one of your primary ways of fixing and improving your posture, to stabilize these types of exercises, you want to start by retracting and depressing the scapula by pulling the shoulder blades backwards and downwards like you're trying to pinch a pound coin in between your shoulder blades. Then from here, you're going to pull and lead with the elbows, and imagine that you're actually trying to pull your elbows back and downwards towards your back pockets. Again, although you're not actually going to do this, it's a good visual cue to think about to ensure that you're actually maximizing the contraction of the muscles you intend to work. Stability equals control. Control equals correct execution. Correct execution equals more gains and less risk of injury. Win, win, win. And of course, as that's a pulling example, if you also want to apply this tip and concept of creating stability in the likes of push-ups and squats, I'll leave a link to one of my previous videos on this YouTube channel, which I've gone through, which I'll link right up here. And the last move you can apply to improve and maintain a good posture is mobility. From all the injuries I experienced and recovered from last year, I really found that mobility is almost like the golden nugget when it comes to fitness. The moment you discover it and know how to use it effectively, the moment good things start to happen. And simply, mobility is the control you have to move around a joint, and the more control you have to move around a joint, the more strength and stability you're going to have to actually get yourself into the postures that you desire. And not only does that apply in strength training, but it also applies to simple stuff like maintaining a good posture, which is what we want. Now, although mobility should actually primarily be improved through a properly well-structured strength training program, it's also a good thing to do on a daily basis. You know, maybe after you've woken up or you've been sitting down for a long time, focus on mobilizing the areas that typically get weak and stiff. So for example, as I've already highlighted in the video, that could be the thoracic spine, the hip flexors, the shoulders, the glutes, because again, these types of exercises is going to teach you and teach your nervous system how to maintain the correct postures, not only for general exercises, but also in day-to-day activities. And so that's where you're going to gain the amazing benefits that mobility has in and out of your workouts. But to wrap this video up, the main thing I want you to take away with this information is to not only apply it, but to actually be patient with it. It's very daunting at first, as I experienced myself when I didn't have the best of postures. It felt very slow, slow, felt I didn't really make much progress, but over time, and I just remained consistent and continuously made progress on a daily basis, it's something I really thank myself for sticking to, and it's something you certainly will be doing so as well. So that said, if you like if you like this video, you enjoy my content, you enjoy watching every single minute of this video, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below that this video came in good hands to you. So as that is enough for me today, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, my friend, and as a crew member of the Gains Train Express, keep moving forward, my friend.